Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Shining Athletes podcast, our 6th episode. We have another special guest, but first, my name is Tyler Baum, and we're here with
Erin Moe.
my co-host. Welcome back, Erin. Thank you for joining me.
You.
We're introducing one of our new team members. She is a new intern at Shining Athletes, and she has an incredible story to share. She had a great experience in high school and had a pretty successful recruiting process, and then she built her path through college, and she really proved what a student athlete is. She made it known that it isn't just about the athlete. It's about being a student and an athlete. And she does a really good job of explaining that the schedule, not even in college, but in high school too, to get to where she wanted to be, she worked so hard. And it's incredible to hear what she went through to get to where she is now. And it's incredible to hear. And now she's a grad assistant doing analytics at Indiana State and getting a degree in broadcasting. And she loves the sport, and it's very clear that it is important to her that she always loved the sport, but she didn't let her academics get in the way of that. And I think it's super cool about what she says and how she expresses the importance of being a student athlete.
Yeah, you'll hear me in the actual interview itself tell her how she's been such an amazing storyteller. Basketball has kind of been a family sport for her, and she just does a wonderful job explaining how her family culture, high school culture, shaped her into the winner she became. And I'm really excited for you guys to hear it firsthand.
Awesome. Well, let's get right into this episode. Welcome back, everybody, to the Shining Athletes podcast. I'm Tyler Baum, and we're here with my co-host, Erin Moe, and we got another very special guest, one of our interns who has joined our team at Shining Athletes, and she has a lot of experience in the basketball world, where she played at Syracuse, and she has done what a lot of student athletes don't do, and has become All-ACC academic at Syracuse, and she's gotten a lot of athletic awards too. And I'm excited to kind of tell her story and explain what it really means to be a student athlete. And I'm very excited to share our guest, Nyah Wilson. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. Erin, let's get right into it.
All right. Well, Tyler and I firmly believe there's no better introduction than someone giving it for themselves. So, Nyah, can you please just tell our audience a little bit about who you are, your experience, and what you're up to now?
Yep. So, of course, my name is Nyah Wilson. I am currently in my grad year, part 2. So I started off at Syracuse. Then I transferred to New Mexico, and then ended my final year at University of Missouri, all in which I played basketball, of course, at a high level. But the reasons in me transferring to University of Missouri, like, I'm a strong believer of networking and just meeting people to where, like, that's really passionate about outside of sports. Like, that's just as positive as to the sport and connect to it just as I am. So I really got a little deeper dive on what I wanted to do, which was to be a broadcaster. And then with that, I actually applied to Indiana State. They had a broadcasting opportunity for me here. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm doing commentating, play-by-play, and I'm an analyst here. So just doing that for all 3 sports: basketball, volleyball, a little bit of football. So just getting a little deep dive on that.
Awesome. So before you went to play at the college level, you clearly had done really well in high school. So was there a certain moment or a certain game in high school that kind of made the light bulb go off, like, yes, I want to play in college, or has this kind of been like a lifelong goal ever since you were a kid?
Yeah, so my family is a basketball family. So like I was literally like just born into it, honestly. I started playing when I was 3, and my 2 older sisters, like I everywhere and literally everything they did, I wanted to do. Every school they went to, I wanted to go to. So that's technically like how I ended up in my high school. And my high school is really big in the state of Texas. If you go to Texas, you're going to hear about it. It's called Duncanville. It was literally like a powerhouse. It's like another IMG, but it's not. But like you just once you go there, you're just given or you're just put into a legacy, and that's really what I was really built around. I was built around a winning culture, and that's when I realized I really had to take basketball serious. I already took it serious, but like just to be a part of winning, like that's when you get passionate about it and you really don't want to change anything. Like you want to grow on that, you want to build on that. And that's really where my mindset shifted once I got there.
And to add off of that, I know with schools like your school and other schools, it's a lot different than going to just, you know, a public school in Illinois or going to some other just little public schools, because I don't know if your school specifically, but there are schools out there like IMG, as Nyah brought up, that play national schedules. And so you really do have to learn your athlete versus student athlete portions and really have to understand what it takes to be a student athlete.
Yep.
Totally. Now, you said you were kind of grown up and raised in the culture of winning. Were there any habits that helped you to dive into that mindset, or any habits that made it really successful to be a winner on and off the court?
Yeah, I feel like that started off with just like my family, like not even like, well, technically a hobby and it's really fun like to do. And then like my uncle ended up being my trainer once I got to middle school. Yeah, so just imagine. I worked out, I swear, I worked out maybe 3 times a day. So like, just having that type of, I would say, system and family like support, it really just like built me into like the mindset of like, okay, like I have to do this for my family. And like just them taking time out of their day to really like just pour into me, I really appreciate it. So I really never took it for granted. Of course, like a lot of times I was tired and I would tell them I'm tired, but it it was really irrelevant to a point, because it's like I've at the end of the day, I feel like I was giving back to them. So it was like at the end of the day, I feel like I owed it to them, and I really just appreciated them like just pouring into me and just training me like to get to, or me just being the best that I can.
That's awesome.
I love that. That's really sweet. My dad used to coach me, so I get it. Like there are days when you're like, I'm so tired, but at the same time, you're here for me, and I need to appreciate every moment. Now, you also mentioned that your high school was really big and kind of known for producing really successful students. When it came to the recruiting process, would you say that there were any advantages from like your school being on your resume, or were there other hoops you had to jump through because you were kind of a small fish in a big pond compared to all the other athletes, not only within your high school, but within the nation or the state?
Yeah, so Duncanville was the type of school that a lot of coaches had on their radar. Like a lot of big athletes came out of Duncanville, no matter if it was on the men's side, the women's side, like Ariel Atkins, Tamika Catchings, like I can literally go in. Like it's a lot of people that came out of Duncanville that was very successful or went Power 5, Power 4 now, or like currently the WNBA. So a lot of college coaches, I feel like just having Duncanville on my radar or just going to Duncanville, there were times where, like, we're doing practice. It was an open practice. So where do you know at any high school would have an open practice for college coaches? Like
That's insane.
that's actually insane. But like we had a couple of those. Like, was it nerve-wracking? Yes. But at the end of the day, like you still had to be the same person you were brought into that school. So practice was still the same, the flow was still the same. Like it doesn't matter who is sitting on those sidelines. Like you have to be yourself while you're at that school. And it was pressure, but at the end of the day, like you learn to adapt to it. And then also like just given the fact that you have Duncanville on your radar, like there was also many advantages that I took outside of just going to Duncanville. Like they had a summer league that we could play at. So like AAU basically, but outside of that, I play with them during AAU sometimes during the summer. And then I also play EYBL, which is big for like AAU as well, but it's on a higher circuit to where a lot of coaches will get to see you. And there I played with Cypher, which is out of Houston. A lot of Dallas people play there in Houston as well. Like it was just a mixture. So just being able to have that advantage to play on both like huge platforms was just a major plus for me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And to add off of what Nyah was saying about the open practices, for the audience that don't really know, is with colleges and recruiting these days, there's only certain amounts of time that college coaches can really go and recruit and take the time to really go see who they want to see. So to be able to have the open practice and to be able to have the experience Nyah's obviously went through is really special, because not a lot of athletes get to go through that and be in that. So it is very much a benefit.
I've only ever heard of like coaches going to like big tournaments or like champion games, never a high school, college, even level practice for just, hey, we're here. That's awesome. Something that you mentioned in your last answer was talking about like not only being a good student, a good athlete, but you also said having good character and like being like the best version of you. So we haven't had many guests talk about character, but what is something that you would recommend to a high school student or that you did yourself to highlight your character or to build a positive character that coaches would want at their school and on their teams?
I was fortunately blessed to have, those upperclassmen that taught me along the way. Like I was literally a freshman playing varsity. So I've had the opportunity to learn from the upperclassmen on how to, just be that student athlete first before just being the athlete. And it's hard to come by because, of course, like school is hard to balance. And of course, being an athlete is hard to balance as well because you want to put in so much time to a sport, but you also have to focus on your academics because, of course, unfortunately, your sport's not always going to be there. And I had to learn that the hard way, which is fine. But character, like, it's just something that Duncanville really stood by. Like, we literally, our coach made us memorize a whole, not even a script, but just like a little phrase that we all had to remember before the start of the season, basically like analyzing that a pantherette was this, a pantherette was that. And it was just like a series that we had to say before we entered practice. And if we didn't know that series, we wasn't going to be on the team, even though we were technically on the team. But like in order to start our season, we had to know what a pantherette is. And that was basically being a student first, what we stand by, community service, just giving stuff outside of ourselves that is technically just not being an athlete. And I feel like at the end of the day, that really it stood by me to this day because I really carried that on to college because, just having that character first and then being an athlete, many people appreciate it. Many people want to be around it. And it just makes you feel secure in being this and just playing the sport that you love. So
I love that. That's awesome. I think it's something more coaches should do and implement. Right, Coach Tyler? I'm sure you do that every day with your boys.
I don't disagree with that. I totally
Now, you have family members not only as your supporters, but also as like your coaches and mentors. So as a student athlete who's gone through the whole process with your parents on all fronts, is there any advice you would give to a parent who's supporting their student athlete in a way that you wouldn't be adding more pressure to the student or to the whole recruiting process?
Yeah, so of course I've been around it so long, and my mom had to learn it like just along the way. But like I feel like as the time progressed, like she's gotten better at it. But if something I can say with the recruiting process is just to be patient as a parent and not to implement yourself in what they have going on as far as like sports. Like I understand that you want the best for your child, but at the end of the day, it's going to be them and that coach in the long run that they have to eventually step up and build that relationship with the coach. So I feel like not to implement themselves too much, but also just enjoy the journey and just enjoy watching them play while you can, because I feel like many parents, like they try to push so much on their child to where like some just fall out of love with it because it becomes so pressuring because you want to do this for your parent, but you also want to be the best that you can be, which makes it really tiring to at one point you just got to cancel something out. Like something's going to bury, like something's literally going to bury you to where like you really can't handle both. So I would just say, just enjoy it along the way and just be supportive as much as they can and just continue to watch their kid grow. So.
And I know in one of our previous episodes, we talked about talking about the right path and understanding that even though the student might have a goal or a dream, that it might not just be the perfect situation where you can go to the school you want. And obviously to the audience, Nyah understands that. She's been at 3 schools. She's played at 3 schools and now is at our 4th, but it's I feel like it's different for parents when you really understand the process and let the athlete be an athlete and let them go through their process, because once the athlete goes through the process, they understand what they need and they want through the discovery of having this communication and having the training and building the repetition that you need to make that next step. And anybody can still get to that goal of where they want to be in that path. It's just the question of, is the athlete and the families willing to be a team versus the parents really forcing that end goal, which might not be the correct start in the path to get to that end goal.
Exactly.
Totally. Shifting gears a little bit, once you were recruited and started off in college, what would you say the biggest difference was, or the biggest shift you had to learn going from a high school student athlete to now a collegiate student athlete?
So I feel like it really wasn't much of a difference just leaving my high school, because like we were already on that mindset, like winning mindset, the collegiate mindset. So like it really wasn't big of a shift for me. The only downfall or the flaw it was for me was I came out during COVID 2021, literally right after COVID was probably cleared, but like it wasn't all the way cleared. So it was kind of a flaw for me because I really couldn't take those visits. I really couldn't like build those connections as much as I wanted to. So I kind of just went the old route and just went with somebody that I've already had that a connection with, because Syracuse, they recruited me since I was in the 8th grade, and I had that connection with that coach. Yeah, I had that connection with that coach, and unfortunately, when I got to campus, that coach ended up getting fired. So it was just a lot of downplay for me. Like my freshman year, it wasn't terrible, but it just wasn't what I expected. But it wasn't really a challenge because again, I had those upperclassmen that taught me along the way.
I agree, and I think it's more the transition. The transition after you go through the recruiting process, through the stories that we've told and the stories that we've heard, a lot of what I'm getting out of, at least from every different story, is the transition from playing high school athletes to really taking that next level and playing that competition where you're playing adults now. You're playing 21, 22-year-olds, and you're not playing at that level anymore where you do have to be in the weight room. You do have to get to those strength goals to make sure that you're hitting the growth that you need to be at the level you want to play at.
Yeah. I feel like so many things end at like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. But in college, that's when like some of the activities are just getting started and like sessions start. I think that's something that not a lot of high schoolers have considered or realized. Like I didn't even have workouts in college, but I didn't have classes that started till like 7 p.m. Like things happen in the evening and you have to like be awake and be alert and be present to do well.
Yeah.
And I also think that was something else I had to learn. Like I had 6 a.m. workouts. Mind you, after workouts, we have study hall that you have to be at. It's not mandatory. And then after study hall, we have workouts again, individuals that with you and your coach. After individuals, you have class again. It was just a schedule you had to get acclimated to. I would say on top of that, that really was a big investment for me. But also being able to show up and still give your all through every workout that is on that schedule.
And I know we haven't touched on this much because we've talked a lot about the recruiting process in general with all of our guests. But a big thing that I've really thought about through this conversation was, even how much work it is through practice days and off-season workouts. The game days are pretty stressful too, because you're not just in the gym an hour before the game. You're getting a workout in the morning, you're doing team shoot around, you're having a team meal, and then you can go nap, and then you have to be back at the gym like an hour and a half later for your pregame workout to go into that team pregame routine, whatever that may be. Then you play the game. So it's not just the workouts and the practices, but it's the whole schedule is really, really stressful. And it can be stressful as long as Aaron's favorite word, I'm going to bring it out, time management. As long as you have time management available and you work on time management, that's how you become successful with the transition.
Yeah, Tyler, I think you answered Nyah's next question, but I guess Nyah, if you have anything else to add.
Just taking advantages of what's given to you, like study hall. I feel like a lot of the times, even I took advantage of it as a freshman. Like, I'm not gonna let you. And I can have a lot of my upperclassmen teammates. They can advocate for me. I was ready to go in class. I was so tired, but I had to learn from that because it was hurting me in the long run. And of course, like it was benefiting me on the court because I wasn't playing, because I wasn't going to class. So at some point I had to give. I was like, okay, like I gotta lock in. And most of the schools were hard as far as academically, they were private schools. So I really had to figure out a way of like when I can get this done, okay, and then go do something that I have on my free time, and then while also playing the sport I love. So like just really balancing that schedule on your own. Like you just have to pick your bigger opinions on at one point and just really like just grow up. That's what I really had to realize like over the past 3 years, I feel like.
And to tell a little secret to the audience, which Aaron will really like, use your tutors to your advantage.
Yes. We're so underappreciated.
Yeah.
It's fine. Shameless plug over. I'll get off my soapbox. I feel like you also answered my next question, which was, do you have any advice that you would give your former self? But I know you said just now that you would need to grow up, you have to mature, you kind of have to put that on. Is there anything else you want to add to that, or?
I just feel like a lot of student athletes, especially coming out of high school, we don't realize how much of a sport can really harm your mindset. And I feel like just being a freshman to who I am now, I realized just how just how much as important mental health is. And just playing a sport so long, you can really fall out of love with it. Nothing is really wrong with that. But being around it for so long, you can really fall out of love with it. So I would just say continue to remember who you are. Like throughout my time being in college, like I was big on affirmations, and I carried that on throughout every school that I've been through. I would say affirmation not only to myself, but I just built that system while I was at New Mexico as well. For every game, I will come up with 3 affirmations that I would tell not only myself but my teammates before we went into a game, before we went into every practice. Because one game doesn't define you, one practice doesn't define you, basketball doesn't define you. Who you are as a person really defines you. So I feel like affirmations has really took me a long way because that alone can really like build your mindset outside of like just feeling bad about yourself because as an athlete you wanna take that authority, like you wanna feel bad about what you didn't do right, what you did do right in a game, but like that at the end of the day that doesn't matter. You have to let it go in through one ear and out the other. Like that was something I really had to learn, and I would say that's something I wish I would have started early because maybe I would have ended up I would have stayed at Syracuse. Maybe I wouldn't have went to all 3 schools, but I just feel like it's something I really should have started earlier, but I'm just happy that ended up working out in the long run.
And also to kind of add off of what Nyah said, I think the affirmations is a really, really good thing that any athlete should do because not only is it a pressure from being probably at a four school or being at that top-notch level, but also now social media is an aspect that student athletes don't really, I mean, they just think is normal in society. And that's another factor of pressure that just adds straight from high school going into college. And I bet Nyah, you know firsthand what that's like. And can you kind of explain to the audience how social media kind of played a factor in being stressed, maybe?
Yeah, I can literally give you a real life example that like probably like irritates me to this day, but it was when I was at New Mexico, of course. Um, one of my prior teammates, they had got injured, so I had to step up and take on a role that I really wasn't comfortable with doing, which was being point guard. I was a point guard prior. I ran it a couple of times, but at that current school, I was mostly off ball combo. So I was okay with doing it. Unfortunately, we was playing at San Diego State, I believe. We were winning, and unfortunately, I think at halftime they end up going on a run and they end up beating us by maybe 15, maybe 13. I can't really remember. And I remember after that game, I was feeling so bad about myself because I just blamed myself because, as a point guard, like you are the captain of your team, you are the leader of your team, like everyone depends on you. So I felt terrible that I just blamed that whole loss on me. And me just being the person that I am, something told me to go on my Twitter. And I had so many bad comments just really like deteriorating me, like just tearing me apart about how I just didn't play good, how I let my team down, how I was just this bad player. And I'm just like, if we would have won that game, those comments wouldn't have been there. Like no matter if I played bad or not, it was because we lost that game. So it was just like, and it kind of like irks me a little bit because a lot of student athletes go through this, and a lot of people, of course, unfortunately, have their opinion on the sport that I would say they're so passionate about. But at the end of the day, I feel like they forget that those student athletes are humans and they still have to go on about their day and still play the sport that you so-called watch and want to play. So I feel like that's a lot to really dwell with as an athlete, but also you just have to learn to just put it to the side and really not even look at it. And that was another hard thing for me that I really had to adapt to, was not to even just look on social media, because a lot of people will have what they want to say about you, but at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And even some of my high school athletes today, I tell my high school athletes if we have a bad loss one day, give it a 24-hour rule. Don't go on social media for 24 hours. Let let the game come to you, and don't let the outside noise disrespect your work that you're putting in, because the outside noise can be the outside noise, but at the end of the day, they don't see what's happening behind the scenes. And at the end of the day, they don't realize your path and what you've done to get to the point you're at now. And I think social media is just a way to kind of get people down when, you can't have that 24-hour rule where you can kind of just get all your thoughts out of your head and kind of recalibrate and understand, maybe it was a team thing. Like maybe you go back and watch film and really understand what happened. But at the end of the day, if you just rely on social media, as you said, Nyah, it's not a benefit. There's nothing good about it unless it's a win, probably. So
Yeah. Nyah, you have been such an amazing storyteller, such an amazing guest, and given so much advice. The last thing we have for you is a rapid fire series of questions if you're up for it.
Of course.
Fun questions. Just shout out whatever comes to mind first. I'm ready if you are.
I'm ready.
What is your go-to pump song?
Wall to Wall by Chris Brown.
Amazing. Who is the toughest player you've ever guarded?
Not gonna lie, I can't remember. I think her name was McKenna, and she went to Colorado State. I kid you not. This is how I know that she was so hard to guard. We had to scout her for 4 of our players to guard her. Like literally, we were given roles of 4 of us was to not let her touch it or even be able to shoot the ball. She averaged 30, but our coach and us were fine with her averaging 20 that game. We knew if she didn't touch 30, we were going to win. So that's how I know she was the toughest person ever that I had to guard, and I hated it.
That's wild.
Oh my gosh. What is the best piece of advice a coach has given you?
Just to enjoy the journey. And what I took from that is to just given my journey. I kind of took it like that route. I started off at Syracuse. It wasn't the best journey for me, but I ended up somewhere that I loved, which was Missouri, with the best basketball in the SEC, best coaches that I've been around, best teammates. So I think just being a part of that journey, which is, it doesn't start now, but eventually it'll come to you and you'll love it in the end run.
I love that. What is your favorite brand or style of basketball shoe?
I would say Kobe's, but because I actually this past year I started wearing Kobe's, but it's not my favorite. I am a Paul George fan. I was huge on Paul George's. I was huge on Paul George's, and I wish that he would have came out with some more designs this past year, and I would have worn them. But yeah, I would say Paul George.
And last but not least, what is your favorite memory from your basketball career?
In high school, I would say winning state, and then in college, I would say just meeting different teammates and just being able to be a part of something special is what I would say in college.
I love that. Thank you so much, Nyah. Those are all the questions we have for you. You have been nothing but the most lovely guest. So we so appreciate your time and your stories, and you're just an amazing storyteller. Like, so great. Snaps, claps all around. Yeah, but thank you so much. I know our listeners and families are really going to appreciate all the wisdom that you have to share. And congrats again on such an amazing career, and good luck as you continue on your grad school journey.
Thank you guys.
Yes. Nyah, thank you for joining the podcast. We're super happy to have you on our team and help out with all the knowledge and understanding you have within college basketball. And the audience is going to be seeing a lot of you more on our social media and all that you're helping out with. So we're very happy that you've joined our team and that we get to share your story.
Thank you guys again. I'm super, super excited again to be a part of something so special. And I just love Shining Athletes. I love what we're doing for everyone. So
awesome. Well, that was an awesome story that Nyah just told. I'm really impressed by what she went through and how she approached being a student athlete, and she took to heart really what it means. And I hope that the audience and families that are watching this podcast get something out of Nyah's story, because Nyah does a really good job, even though she went to a Power 4 school and she played at the highest possible competition in college sports, that she didn't take it for granted, and she really took the process to heart. She really understood what she needed and she wanted, and she pushed her way to get to where she is now. And it's really important for families and student athletes to really hear that story, because it's not just about the athlete or the student. It's about the parents being supporters, the families being supporters of the student athlete, so they don't feel that pressure, as Nyah says in our conversation, that it's a team effort, and the people around you to support you really matters. And she does a good job really explaining her story and how she benefited from the whole family aspect and how much her family supported her.
Mm. She worked on her character. She said that was so important since the very beginning of her career as a student athlete, and you could get just a little glimpse, but I think it's enough to show she is a wonderful person, a wonderful student, and a wonderful athlete, and those are traits that she'll take with her, and something that she said herself are super important to attract coaches to you and to attract teams to you, is just being a good person, connecting, being vulnerable, communicating. And she did a great job with that. And I really hope our listeners took that to heart. It's so important in everything that you do. So with that being said, stay shining, stay focused.
See you guys next time.
Bye. Peace.